Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another day of the video diary. How's it going today? We actually struggled to get up a little bit this morning. Not massively, but a little bit. Really wanted to go back to bed. I was up a little later than I expected watching Breaking Bad. I didn't really start it till 20 past 11, so obviously didn't go to bed till about 20 past 12, which shot me in the foot by the looks of it. That's how old I am now. 20 minutes means... God damn it, hoodie. 20 minutes means a lot of time is meant... What? 20 minutes means a lot to me, but obviously that's halfway through a sleep cycle. You've bobbed that up. But anyway, what's been going on? So far this morning, I have made myself my breakfast, had a cup of tea, watched some YouTube videos, and got ready and left. That's basically that, really. We're now heading to work. Today should be an interesting day at work. It's our first day of sprint number 2. I missed the first day of sprint number 1 because this time last week I was in bed dying. This was before I knew it was tonsillitis, so yeah, this time last week I missed it. So it's going to be interesting today to try and figure out, like, get the logistics of how absolutely everything works. Hopefully be able to push a stamp on it to show, like, here's what happens when I'm in the planning. Try and make like a good difference to the session is what I'm aiming to do. I'm still going in early. I'm going to try and draw up the design that we thought of yesterday. Try and like get it visualized on some paper properly before we go in. So that's what we're going to be doing at the moment, I think. But yeah, so we have our training planning session thing, which apparently takes a long time. It takes like half a day, so we'll see. We'll see just what it's like, and hopefully I'll be able to make a stamp on it to like try and push people in like a certain direction, something a bit different. Get some proper discussions down as to what we can and can't do, because I think last time we underperformed what we could have done. And I think, well, no, we said we'd do a lot less than we actually did. And I think it's worth saying you can do more so that you can push yourselves a little bit harder. I don't think we were pushed at all this week. So that's what I'm aiming to do in that planning session. After that, we basically do whatever we plan for the rest of the day. Anyway, coming home, I'll be then having some, I'm going to try and make shepherd's pie for dinner. I've never made shepherd's pie before, so it should be interesting. And what else? Got something else to do tonight as well. I'm supposed to be looking for a letterbox to post Lovely a letter, and I haven't been paying attention, have I? God damn it. So that was something else I needed to do. I've got to put it on my to-do list, and I've forgotten what it was now. Balls. Empty the bins. I've got to do that tonight as well. It's going to be a relatively busy night tonight, to be honest with you. It's not going to be as relaxed as I wished it to be, but I don't think the boys can get on Minecraft, so it doesn't really matter. There's a random flip-flop there on its own. Otherwise, on the bus, we're going to be sorting out plans for this evening. I've got to sort out my to-do lists. Maybe read my book on the way there, or there's nothing else I can really plan out or work on while I'm on the bus, I'm afraid. So my nose is a bit blocked. Hay fever tablet's still got to kick in. Right, bus time. Come on. There he is. Look at this weather. Look how cool it is. It actually might rain. What a day. Thank God for that. I hope it doesn't heat up later. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Anyway, we're on work. Early, on time. Good. Like I say, we're going to draw up some plans for the proposal that we're putting forward. And that's basically it for today. And then we'll go through the planning stage and see what comes out of that. So I'll let you know, I guess. Right, do I have a lot to tell you about today? Today has been what I would consider the first day of actual work. While we have been like doing stuff like for the past however long, I think today is the first time that I think we've fully decided everything, like we've done everything properly, how it will be done for the rest of the time we're there today. And I think mainly because I wasn't there last week, I didn't feel part of the team per se. obviously I was part of the team, but I didn't feel like we had obviously equal input on how everything was going to be done because I wasn't there. So it was actually really like eye-opening just how everything was working and stuff, and what we all did. Anyway, so we got there in the first 8:30. In the first hour we drew together a couple of designs that we thought about yesterday before our proposal meeting. We had a meeting then from 9:30 till 12. It's a bloody long planning meeting. I was expecting it to be like half hour, wham bam, get out. I was expecting that kind of thing, but it was like, I'm gonna go through this, and it was really good. We had like a review of what went wrong last time, what went well last time. Quite a lot went well, not a lot went wrong. The main things that were going wrong were just us not being used to things like the version control system and how it merges. We expected it to be a lot more intelligent than it is. I think that was the only thing that flagged as an actual problem. I mentioned in passing that I think we could have committed to more last thingy, but we did lose. Well, that's the point. We got it all done, but we lost 3 days worth of time due to me being ill and Eli taking a day's holiday. We lost 3 days, 3 full work days were lost, and we still did over what we said we'd do. That's how little we did, or said we'd do, I guess. But yeah, so we're doing the planning stage. We're going through all the things we need to do, and guys are very quick to put really big numbers on things. Like that's a difficult task. That's a difficult task. In some cases, we have to give it a big task because we don't know. Like, for example, there would be the ASP.NET thing. We had to create an ASP.NET thing and then make it talk to this other thing that we also need to create, and then have that talk to what we've already created. We don't know, particularly because we've never done it, how long it's going to take to make this little bit in the middle, let alone how much it'll take to do this bit, let alone how much it'll take to do the talking in between. They're very quick to put really high numbers, like, not necessarily high, like 5 on a Fibonacci scale, which isn't massive, but 5 on things that are like, you just don't believe in yourself to a certain extent. But then it's like the company themselves don't expect us to do as much as we can do to a certain extent. They seem to expect like for us to tick off only like a couple of things, and we're like, yeah, pull them on, yeah, we'll do all them. So it's kind of like there's 2 swings. Like the guys are very quick to say something that's quite difficult when it might not necessarily be, which I've got an example for. But then the company's very, well, our scrum leader at least, is very much like, I think you've committed to too much. Like, what? But anyway, I'll get back to the thing is, we passed over all of our proposals and stuff, they liked them. We're getting more of an idea of what the product's going to actually be now, because we've only really done the back end, which the back end isn't the product basically. The front end is the product. And what we're doing now over this sprint is we're going to try and develop the golden thread, which is like the bare basics, essentials of what you need at each point. It's quite a clever philosophy, it's quite difficult to explain, but my nose, man. Something is trying to make it difficult for me to breathe. Just making sure Amazon hadn't emailed me. Sorry guys. Where was I? Post! I love getting post. It's a childish thing. I bet it'll wear out of me as soon as they all become bills. But yeah, the golden thread is a bit of a concept. It's the idea of having the product, you literally go from the back to the front of the product all the way through, draw one line that allows each and every single part of the system to be seen, so you can show how it's going to work without actually doing it. So by doing that, you'll end up designing a user interface which will be reminiscent of what will be the end user. That's a quite difficult thing, something you've got to have. But then where it's pulling its information from, you'll create a class or a method that would supply its information, but inside that method you don't really do anything. You just kind of give it like 2 values or something silly like that. You're just showing how it's going to work. That's the concept of a golden thread. So we drew the golden thread through the system. That was the target. That's what I think they expected us to commit. But we've got a fully functional back end. So it's not like we have to start creating that from scratch. It's not like we don't know what we're doing or anything about that. What are we talking about, Jamie? That is essentially what we're committing to for this thing, to set up a golden thread through the system. We've committed beyond that to say that we reckon we could get more than a golden thread. We reckon we won't particularly have the middle part, but we should have a fully functional front end that's getting and displaying data. In fact, no, I'm lying. We're basically saying we can do a golden thread. They're saying you can get most of the golden thread. So obviously they don't know how good we are because we're new, so they don't know how far to push us. But then there's times where we're having the discussion. It's like, right, we're currently drawing it in XML. We're getting all of this information from the database, saving it as an XML file. Yesterday in the review, we was talking to one of our mentors, and they said that if you're going to be doing the graphs in JavaScript, and we recommend that you do it in JavaScript, then JavaScript and XML don't really mix very well. You're better off using something like JSON, so you might want to convert that. So at this point, we're like, right, okay, so how long is it going to take to convert this to JSON? I'm like, that's virtually not even a job. That's a 1 on this scale. I'd put a 0, to be honest with you, if I thought that would be appropriate. But that isn't even a job. It's literally nothing. But they were like, but we don't really know what JSON is. We don't really know how this works, how that works, how this works. I'm like, but fundamentally, all we did to get the XML... Man, okay, I've had a drink now. The difficult part of us getting the XML was actually converting the SQL query into something that we could then produce XML from. But at its bare bones, all you're doing is writing a string to a file. It's just glorified text freaking string manipulation, which isn't hard. It's literally, it might be a case of having to sit and type out a couple of things, but it's bloody easy. And XML, JSON are very commonly interchanged, so I will be bloody surprised if there isn't already a method in some library somewhere that literally converts XML to JSON just like that. But they're like, we haven't seen JSON before, we don't understand JSON. We're going to give it a 3. And most of our projects, there was 1 8, there was 5s, 3s, and 2s. And I'm like, that's completely ridiculous. Getting annoyed, getting like seething and a bit inside. So we go out, and then it's like everyone has their lunch. I can't have my lunch because I've got to take my tablet. Speaking of which, so I'm just like, well, I'm going to sit here while you guys have your lunch, because I've kind of trained myself to have a late lunch as well because of my old job. I try and push my lunch back as late as possible because I don't feel bad working like 6 hours straight break and then 2 hours straight. I'd rather do that than 4 and 4 or something like that. I think a lot of people are like that, to be fair, but they haven't quite grasped that just yet, I don't think. So they had their lunch early. I then just literally 10 minutes flat did this thing that's a grade 3 high level unit thing, and like bam, there you go, done it, job done, committed the file, uploaded, hallelujah. And they're like, oh, and the Scrum manager comes by and he's like, well, that's cheating, you've given it a really high thing, you've just done it in like next to no time, so now it looks like our velocity is a lot higher than it should be because we've just ticked off 3 things in next to no time. That shows our velocity to literally be like huge because that's supposed to take a long time. As a gauger, something that we reckon was an 8 would be 20 hours work. No, a 5's are reckoned at about 20 hours work combined and stuff like that. We then had to like split into tasks and stuff. You're talking 20, maybe more work like that. So a 3, you'd expect that to take about a day's and about 8 hours, and I did it in 10 minutes. I knew it would take 10 minutes, but the problem is you can't really... I tried to insist on saying that, look, I wrote the XML, it's going to be easy, and then I was like, well, you can't really say stuff like that because you've just kind of put yourself in like a position of power saying you did this, and I'm like, oh, sorry, then okay, it's going to be easy, I'm pretty certain it is. You know what I mean? But that was something that bugged me. But then otherwise, beyond this, before I start cooking, because I need to start cooking, and your battery's going to die on me because I can tell. Beyond this, something else that we sorted was, we're kind of having like a talking thing that's an issue. The other 2 people are very quiet, and they don't talk to each other. They kind of talk through me, and it's really annoying, because then what will happen is, the thing on my left will say, oh, we need to do... They'll say to me, or like, we need to use a WPF in order to access this from this. because he's done one Google search and it's come up as an option, and he's like, that's the best option, bam. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing what you're doing, I'm doing unit testing now, which by the way is actually quite good fun. I'm going to be spending quite a lot of time tomorrow doing some unit testing, mainly because we did everything wrong, and, well, not everything wrong, everything works fine, but we didn't build it with the intention of testing it, so I now need to rewrite half of it so that we can test it. That's by the by. So I'm doing unit testing, I'm not really doing this, so I'm like, cool, okay, whatever you say is the best, because I'm not committing time to this yet. I might join on later, this is your task, it's not mine, we're equal, do what you think is best, but we'll do one search and then think it, and then the guy on my right will go, why are we doing this? Because he hasn't told them, he hasn't said why, he's just saying this is the best way of doing this, like, why do you need to do this? We had to literally, they're like, he's done searches saying that the technology we're using at WPF is retarded, saying that basically there's no point, you can't physically do it, because a WPF is a program that runs on your computer, and we're doing a web application, so you can't just invoke an entire program, you have to install that then on each machine that then wants to access the program, which you're not going to do. Because that'd be like, if you want to access it on your phone, you have to install a mobile version of this program before you can actually do that. So that's what he said. But then these two have literally spent like an hour researching these, or whatever, or however long they took, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, instantaneously, that's wrong, that's kind of right, but you're not quite right on this. But then as you start to say that, it just becomes like everyone kind of says, thingy won't budge, it's a bugger for not budging, and stuff. And then problem is, one of them is won't budge at all. Like, if they have an idea, that's right. That's just the way. I've found one Google search that says it's the way, and that's the way. And Thingy over there doesn't want to then go and challenge that. He'll rather sit there and try and figure out why he's wrong than going, I think this is wrong. You see what I mean? So I'm kind of playing like devil's advocate in the middle, trying to bounce them into each other to try and wear this guy down without feeling like we're ganging up on him or whatever. But yeah, in the end we had to like drag over my mentor and discuss as a team, like, we think that this is an option. Some of us think that it isn't a very good option. We think that it's probably better to go through this way. What's the best way? And we went through and we actually stepped it up and got like the entire like schematic out, the entire architecture, and it actually made a lot of sense. And I looked at it and I'm like, right, I actually physically understand this. I haven't done all the research, but I know this now. I would happily jump in and do this and program it. And that's what I had in my head without doing any research anyway. That's just how I thought it would work. So I really can't wait until we're in a team where everyone, like, I want to be in a team of people who are cleverer than me. Because at the moment it's like I'm feeling like I'm the one going, well, this is easy because it is, or, well, I think you're wrong there. I'm the one doing that. I want to be in a position where I was wrong on the slightest little thing on the whole architecture thing. I thought it was acting a bit like an operating system, but it's not. It's separate. That's not the reason it is, anyway. Yeah, the reason I thought it was separated was because it would act like an operating system and it would stop you physically accessing the service. Whereas it's actually more a case of so you can move the service somewhere else if you really wanted to. But you could directly access it if you also wanted to as well. But anyway, so actually talking to someone, I'm like, right, okay, I get it. But it's just even that discussion, these two are ones having the argument. Even in that discussion with the mentor, it's me talking. Oh, it really bugging me. But yeah, there's a couple of like team things that we need to iron out. Someone is would like take out the code, write loads of it, and then not commit it. He'll just save it and just carry on with his life, and just not commit it online. So we then edit the code, and he like scrolls over and he goes, "Oh, that's not like that anymore. I've changed it." Well, commit the code. Well, what are we supposed to do? Magic what you've written onto ours. You need to commit that to the server so we can then download it back off again. So. But yeah, otherwise it's been very, very busy, very like worky, which is good. And I've had a bloody good day, and I'm loving it, and I'm feeling like I'm in my element. Yeah, there's just a couple of like team dynamics is what we need to figure out now. But I'm absolutely friggin' loving it. Otherwise though, basically, yeah, I was doing this unit testing thing, and I realised that the system isn't built around how it should be. So I'm going to have to go in and refactor a lot of it. we're talking like tomorrow it's going to take me half a day to rewrite the code in a way where it can be tested, and then build the tests. So if I can do it by 12:30, then I've done it in the 6 hours we said it should take. It might take longer than that. Problem was, once we'd like started assigning hours to things, we was then like, oh, you need to fill in something like 100 and some hours, because that's a working week for the three of us. We're like, well, this isn't 100 hours work, but you seem to think that it's going to take us that long, so we'll do it. They seem to think that's the way I was getting out with the company. The company seemed to think it would take us like 200 hours. And we're like, it's going to take less than 100. Like, that level of we're like really confident we can do it. They're like, I guess not negative about the fact that we can do it, but conscious that we might not, I think, and a bit too conscious to actually let us. Because we were going to commit to all of this stuff and say it's going to take this amount of hours, and they're like, oh, we thought you were going to commit to half of it and say it's going to take loads of hours. And we're like, why? It's not that hard. But no. But yeah, this unit testing thing is going to be interesting. It's what I'm going to be working on tomorrow. Then these two are going to have to work together on a project for a bit. Hopefully when my unit testing's done I can jump onto something else. But I do find myself leaning towards unit testing. I like the idea of testing and automated testing and stuff. It's quite good fun. I've never really done it properly before. You always say you've done it at uni. You're like, yeah, we did unit tests. Yeah, it all passed. Yeah, it's fine. You kind of just say that shit, but you don't actually do it. But now I'm actually getting like having a look inside it and stuff. It's actually quite interesting. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Otherwise though, I'm going to try and take my mind off all of this because it's not important at this precise moment in time. Because I'm going to cook a shepherd's pie. That's what I'm going to do. I believe it's a shepherd's pie. There isn't actually a cottage pie. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm pretty excited about it. So let's look into how to do this, shall we? Firstly, what I have is a micro freaking... I've just opened my post before I start actually cooking or anything. I've got my micro SD card reader now, so I can actually start loading up my Raspberry Pi. I nearly got a Blueberry Pi then. So that's going to be fun. I'm not sure I want to do it tonight because, well, I feel really energised and like I want to be really productive and stuff. I don't want to take on too much and then be like, it's too much, I'm stressed, da da da. So I'm thinking of putting that on to tomorrow. I need to like do stuff like empty my bin and stuff, which is starting to smell. Problem is, you put something in it, like a banana skin, and then it starts to smell like banana. And then you open the lid, and the banana smell goes and wafts around your entire house, which is the current problem I have. Which is why I have some else there. And otherwise, I believe this is going to be my rail card. That's exciting. My rail card's come as well. I bought a 3-year rail card the other day. That's a commitment and a half, that. 3 years worth. But bloody well need it. They're so good value. Even this 3-year long rail card, I promise you, this won't, this will pay for itself within a year. Within 1 year, I paid for a 3-year rail card. Within one journey, I paid for a 3-year one. I wonder what the shopper thought. You know how I order online and someone goes around the shop and gets them? When I literally asked for 100 grams of mushrooms and they picked up 3 and that was enough. Perfect. That wasn't all that bad. It was actually pretty good. I've got a lot of washing up to do though. I've already done some of it as well, and I've got a lot still to go. It's hard work. Anything with mashing is just an absolute pain in the balls. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to leave my Raspberry, good old Alfie over here, I'm going to leave him running to install his operating system, because I believe that is semi-important. It's probably an important thing to do. Apparently it's going to take a long time. Obviously he's not being sped up by, I can't like jump start him with Atlas. So that's what I'm going to do at this precise moment in time. So yeah. Let's do that, and then while that's booting up, I can go and... It's a more time-effective way of doing things. How sad is my life where I'm like, well, I need to do this, but it'd be more time-effective if I do this while I'm doing this. That's basically what I do all the time, isn't it? Hey, you bugger. Look at that. Now I can just pick my operating system. Oh, shit. That's not the mouse. God damn. Whee! Who's doing a good job? Just installing away. 2%. Oh yeah, it's going to be difficult when it comes to like, well, it's very rare that I'll ever like, it's only going to be the setup stages where I'm actually touching it and actually doing things with it. Otherwise it's just going to be off and I'll just be sending it files and it'll be like, okay, got it. It's very rare that I'll actually look at it on the monitor itself. But yeah, what was I saying about the battery killing itself? Just did. I've done the bin, I just need to put the bin bags actually back in it. I kind of got a bit sidetracked by this. It's now 10:30 and I should have really started rendering this out by now, so I'm going to have to do that now. I was also going to make sandwiches as well, but something, and I'm hoping that this next one is going to happen soon, something that is pretty exciting, this precise moment in time. If you go to www.blitzsoftware.co.uk, you are pitched straight through, theoretically quite quick, to a literally just a Hello World webpage. I'll show you the webpage so you don't feel like you're missing out on much. It literally just says Hello World from blitzsoftware.co.uk. You're being pitched straight through to him, and he is going, oh, there you go, there's your display. And I've literally been sat here and I've been installing stuff and I've been putting things off, not doing what I'm supposed to be doing because I've been playing around with this. I've currently got it set up so that I can edit I can edit and control my Raspberry without ever plugging in a keyboard. I've got a backup keyboard and mouse down there anyway, but currently you will see if I change the input on the TV, HDMI 2 connecting. Oh, it's not even bothering to display. I guess that's because there's been no user interaction, maybe? Let's wiggle a mouse around? No? Oh, okay. Never mind. There we go. It was just, it goes to some kind of sleep mode when it doesn't think anyone's using it. So if I turn off my keyboard now, I've currently, the only reason I have that plugged in is so that it's not like pulled over by the Ethernet cable, because the Ethernet cable is heavier than the thingy, and it's makes it stand up like that and it bugs me. So I've plugged in the HDMI cable purely to weigh it down, but it also means that debugging it isn't too bad. But what I can do now is I can access and control the entire thing through an SSH command thing, which is here. So I'm given the console view. It's possible to boot it through so that it allows me to have like the graphical interface. That's possible through X1, X11 forwarding, but there's no real point. You don't really need it. Theoretically, it's going to be very rare that I ever go into here and actually do stuff. The only reason I've been going through is so I can install all the things I need to install and also set it up so that Blitz Software and jamieped.co.uk have two separate directories, because, well, I assumed they would both end up having the same website, so I've just quickly done it so that they have two different HTML feeds. Two different. That's the way you do things. It's the way it's supposed to be done. You could obviously code it into the HTML to figure out where you came from, but YOLO. I'm semi-conscious of the fact that jamieped.co.uk hasn't been moved over yet. It can take up to 24 hours because the person I'm hosting it from, I'm basically saying, hey, point everyone in this direction, and what that has to do then, it has to go through all of the servers essentially across the world to a certain extent, although it's not quite as simple as that. Goes to a couple of servers and has to tell them, like, oh, by the way, if someone asks for jamieped, that way, or I know where this is, and it goes, hey everyone, I know where jamieped is, but that's got to pass across the internet. So if I go to jamieped.co.uk at the current moment in time, what it will do is it will go to this person who used to know where jamieped.co.uk is, and I've had the lights on, with those windows open, letting God knows what in. But yeah, I've been sorting all this out, but I've got an SQL database set up, ready to use. I can use PHP within it. I can do whatever the hell I want. This is the reason I've done this. It's so that I have complete access, complete control over absolutely every single thing. And setting all of this up has I've learned now how to develop an SSH thing. So I can now go in and I can edit things. I've been using the command line instead of a graphical interface, because while it's weird really, because I know that command line is quicker. 9 times out of 10 I will avoid using the mouse on my computer because I'll never click. I don't know why I have icons on my main screen, because I never click on them. I just press Windows, search. What you essentially do in this is similar to that, and it's a case of I've never been forced down the route of having to use it, and now that I am, it's really interesting. So yeah, SSH database thing, I've got FTP access to that using Atlas. So basically, I don't need to control this ever again. I can access the websites by going through the web domain. I can access all the files on it by going through FTP, and I can physically control it through SSH, depending on how much level of access I need for access, all that kind of shit. But yeah, that's pretty exciting. Hopefully, jeremyped.co.uk is currently being pushed to. Okay, we have to look into this because jeremyped.co.uk is now pointing at the server, but it's pointing to a dodgy file which I don't particularly want it to go to. So let's load up my FTP service and try and fix that. It's currently going to a weird, like the old Blitz software file. I've still got the website for the old Blitz software, and I'm going to redesign it a little bit and put it up. There's no point you going there for a while until I've figured out exactly like how to do it, just a general splash page, because at the moment there's a shit splash page. Then I'll make a better splash page, and then I'll start building what I actually want to put on there. At the moment it's purely for me. As soon as there's something there for you, I will let you know, but otherwise I need to go because I need to render this video, god damn it, and upload it, and I need to also sort out the bin, and I also need to make my sandwiches for tomorrow, and I need to do all this and go to bed by midnight, and it's 10:30 now. So let's do it, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? Connect to my FTP so I can fix this, and I will catch you later.